This week on Clip Service, we're going to try our best to not have a breakdown while we break down the last four games that have transpired here in Clipper Nation in the Harden era. It's still early, but there is a lot of negative to cover. There's some positive too, and we're going to try our best to make sure that we talk about the stuff that we can look forward to and the stuff that is positive. But yeah, a lot of negative. I just got off work. The Clippers have lost four in a row. It's going to be a battle. This episode is going to be a battle, but we are here for you guys. So without further ado, let's make it happen.
What's up, Clipper Nation? Welcome to the Clip Service Podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Deezer, Amazon Music, and even YouTube. You can also find us on Twitter at Clip Service Pod. I'm Rolla, and this is my co-host, Nick. Nick, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, so things have looked better here in Clipper Nation. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's a lot to still be positive about, but the Harden era has gotten off to an awful start, and I just want to say that, and we're going to touch on it later. I don't put the majority of this on James Harden. We knew that it was going to take some time. We got rid of some of our depth, particularly some of our size at the wing position. We have a ton of guards now, a lot of mouths to feed on offense. Particularly. But yeah, I mean, it's just looked kind of, I'm speaking to the choir. I know that a lot of Clipper Nation out there is probably more frustrated than I am, but holy shit, it's been all over the place. We've looked disjointed. The defense, believe it or not, in my eyes, hasn't been the biggest part of the issue. It's been the offense. Guys are taking back seats to guys that are in the back seat. A lot of guys don't want to step up. And yeah, it just looks kind of wonky. So we're going to try our best to break down the four games that have transpired from the last pod, starting with the Knicks, the loss of the Knicks in New York. It was the first game of a 3-game road trip. The Clippers fall to the Knicks 111 to 97 in a Harden's debut. Rolla, talk to us a little bit about what the fuck happened there.
Yeah, man, off the rip, bro. I saw, through these past couple games, it's been a frustrating one, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I've turned the TV off in the fourth quarter on almost all of these games except for this.
Oh yeah, you have to. You have to,
because at the end of the game, I'm just watching trash at that point. And that's not something I enjoy. Right. So I'm looking at, first off, I'm looking at the box score.
Look at that box score, baby. What are we seeing?
What is Paul George doing with 10 points? Why? What's the, He needs to be, I feel like we've covered this in the past. He needs to be the number one option. He needs to have the most points on the box score every game. The issue I have with Paul George, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter. I don't know if it was this game or the next game. But I know Paul George mentioned his issue was he wanted to be the glue guy.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Paul
we'll
George
talk
cannot
about
be the
that more.
Guy. Yeah, he can't. He needs to be aggressive. He needs to have more than 10 points.
He needs to be the staples. If we're talking about stuff that sticks things together, he can't be glue. He's got to be staples.
No,
he's got to be sharp, metal. Yeah. Right?
He's got to be welded, bro.
He's got to be welded.
No, but for real, it's completely unacceptable. 2 of 11. First of all, why are you taking 11? Why are you only taking 11 shots? He needs to have at least 15 to 20 every single game.
That's the bigger issue to me. That's the bigger issue to me is the shot attempt.
It's
the
unbelievable.
shot attempts. Yeah, is
The,
he said he was on his bully shit. You know, last time I checked, bully's not going to be taking only 11 shots a game.
he,
Bully's gonna get mean and
bro,
get sent to the
he's
principal's
not. No, he's
office.
not. He was nice this game, bro. He was
Yeah,
nice.
he
He's
was a
handing
teacher's
flowers
pet
to
this
the
game.
teacher.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was dropping an apple off on her desk.
yeah, old school, dropping the
Yeah,
apple
very,
off.
yeah, old school with the worm inside, bro.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Little cartoon worm, huh?
No, but
Yeah,
seriously, what I just don't understand. The issue I have with Paul George is, I've said this in past podcasts. I've said this to you for years. Paul George, if he had the right mentality, you can't tell me he's not the best player in the league. You cannot tell me. He has everything you need to have in a basketball player.
yeah,
But
it's
he
all
doesn't
there.
have that mentality. He doesn't believe that. So he sits back and is the glue guy. That's the issue. I have with Paul George. We see this every year. He says he's on his bully shit every year. He starts off really strong, and then he hits a sort of, um, I guess, down decline, and he just
Yeah,
stays complacent. He loses his aggression until Twitter or Clipper fans or even Laker fans, honestly, bully him into becoming an aggressor again. So, I've been saying this, and I don't think this is something I've said on the podcast, but I
but
think
we
this is
talk about it all the time.
oh
Yeah,
yeah, I mean Clipper fans, we have a duty. We have to hold these players accountable. The Laker. No, but look at, and I hate to compare us to the Lakers and Laker fans, but Laker fans would never accept this from their superstars. Look at the way they treat Anthony Davis, and after he has one bad game, they torch that dude on Twitter.
yeah,
They call him street clothes. They call him injury prone. They call him all these names. They call him soft. Like their own accounts do this. I don't see Clipper accounts doing this. So that's I need to see a couple tweets from our Clip Service Pod at
yeah.
at
Okay,
Clip
Roll,
Service Pod on Twitter.
you can handle the bullying of multi-million-dollar celebrities. I'll just
That's
sit
the
back and
no, but that's the issue. How are you making multi-million-dollars and you're dropping 10 points? Doesn't he make
yeah,
40 million this year? He makes 40 mil this year.
something
ten
like that.
points,
Yeah,
unbelievable. But
yeah.
go on, bro.
No, I'm
Go
gonna
on.
crack a Diet Coke for this one because
Bro,
I'm
that was a
stressed.
crispy one, bro. That was
Mm-hmm.
crispy.
It always is.
Um,
If I know one person's got my back,
it's
when
Tucker.
Paul George doesn't, it's Coca Cola.
Oh, you're drinking Coke? My
Well,
bad.
I'm drinking a Diet Coke, but
Oh,
Coca
gotcha,
Cola
gotcha, gotcha.
brand.
Yeah, but
Anyway,
I guess moving on from Paul George for me really quick. I really I didn't like James Harden's debut. I thought he could. I mean, I'm not putting this on James Harden, obviously, because this is his first game with the Clippers.
yeah,
But I was expecting a little bit more. It's the beginning of the year, so you can't really have too great of expectations because he's still in his fat suit. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Well,
But
that's
other
another
than
thing that
that,
we.
sorry,
Yeah.
go
Well,
ahead.
I was gonna say that's another thing that I have in the back of my mind is, and I think it's important that we all kind of take a look at this as well, is James Harden didn't get an off season, right? I mean, whether
Hmm.
that's his fault or it's not, he wasn't participating in a ton of practices. He was sitting out. He wasn't getting conditioned during the whole last half of a year or off season or whatever with the 76ers. So getting in game shape during the regular season is tough, and so I think that that's one of the reasons why we do have to give a little bit of grace to James
Uh-huh.
Harden, particularly from if you see him, maybe jogging back. Uh, you hate to see that anytime a player is jogging back on defense or something like that, but I'm willing to give him a little bit of grace here early on because I know that
Right.
he didn't have a lot of time to practice with this team and practice in general because there was it was such a fiasco over there between him and Daryl Morey. So I can give him a little bit of grace with that. Um, if you didn't have anything else to say, I just wanted to touch on. I don't necessarily think that it was a horrible first game. Despite the ending score, I don't think it
Hmm.
was a horrible excuse me, a horrible first game from James. Him and Russ both chipped in 17 points. He did have 6 assists. There were times when he looked crisp, and you can see
Yeah.
that one thing that I've liked throughout the last 4 games. One of the few things that I've liked has been, his ability to stay true to his pick and roll, his pick and roll playmaking,
Uh-huh.
particularly in these first two games against the Knicks and the Nets. You saw a couple really nice bounce passes to Zoo. You see that he's trying to fill the role of
Point guard.
being a facilitator, right? And
Right.
I do like that. It's almost to a fault because I know that over the course of the last four games, there's been so many times where I wanted to say, just Harden, just you need to start cooking because
Mm-hmm.
nobody else wants to step up.
No.
So I have liked his mentality as being a facilitator. I think, and we're going to touch on it throughout the whole show. I think a big part of it is you have two lead ball handlers, particularly in terms of facilitating and being the trigger man, getting it across half court in Russ and Harden. And one of those guys isn't particularly efficient at shooting behind the arc or shooting from mid range.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that having him next to Russ, and like I said, we'll touch on this later, but I think him next to Russ needs to change sooner rather than later. And that's not an indictment on Russ. In this game, Russ chipped in 17 just like Harden did. Russ had an okay game. He had a couple turnovers, and all of that. But I do think that they need to be split up a little bit, just because I think that the spacing's an issue, and you saw it in
Of
this
course.
game.
Mm-hmm.
The spacing's an issue when if James has the ball, and you have Russ at the dunker spot next to Zoo, who also can't shoot. Um, it just congests everything a little bit. But I think the biggest thing from this game, I touched on it last show, that the Knicks are horrible. Were horrible offensively. I think they were dead last in offense. They
Mm-hmm.
weren't shooting the three ball at a high clip, but there were a few areas of the game that they could have potentially killed us, and they did. They out rebounded us
Completely.
by a significant amount. It was 48-31, and they killed us in the fast break. And when you face a team that struggles to shoot and struggles to manufacture offense, the one thing that you don't want to do is let those guys get out in transition, particularly off a live turnover. And they did. The fast break points were 26-6, and that's going to be a way to get guys feeling confident, and they did. Julius Randle and RJ Barrett feasted on us. 26 for Barrett, 27 for Randle, and Randle was having like career lows in just about every
Oh
statistical
yeah.
category. He needed a
Oh yeah.
breakout game, and we kind of served that to him on a silver platter. We let him and Mitch Robinson just feast on the boards, get second chance points. We let them dominate in the paint and on the fast break, and our defense was sloppy. Again, it was the first game with Harden and the first game without four of our rotation players or nearly rotation players. And so we were trying to figure out a lot on defense, on offense, on both sides of the floor.
Mm-hmm.
But you hate to see it. And then another thing was, speaking of Julius Randle, him diving on the floor. I don't obviously think that he did it maliciously, but I think it was a
Yeah.
reckless play.
It
And I
was.
think, when you're that big of a body, you can't go diving at people's legs and not assume that something bad's going to happen. And
Right.
so Julius Randle dove for a loose ball, took out Mason Plumlee. Mason Plumlee had to get his big ass had to get carried off the floor, couldn't put any weight on
Mm-hmm.
his leg, and apparently he sprained his MCL or
Right.
something in his knee, and he's going to be out for a while. So I mean, thankfully. Um, it wasn't anything particularly serious, like season ending, but he's going to miss some time, and that puts a lot of pressure on Zoo, who, I think the general emotion from Clipper Nation and myself included has been I've really hated what I've seen from Zoo this season. Um, not not as much from a standpoint of like he just hasn't looked like he can jump or he's been slow, because we know that he's limited in athleticism and stuff, but his body language has been so bad. Zoo has a tendency sometimes, if something doesn't go his way or a mistake is made on the floor, he'll throw his hands up, and he just looks frustrated, very very obviously frustrated. So that has been apparent all season. He's just kind of had a little bit of an attitude. I don't know if something's going on. All these players have personal lives, and I don't know if something's going on in his personal life, and I hope he's doing okay off the court. But I, that kind of stuff permeates throughout a team, and particularly a team that has just gotten together and they're trying to figure each other out. We can't have that kind of energy, particularly from our big man down low, who is the only big man we have on the team
Hmm.
that's active right now, besides Musa Diabate, who we'll touch on later. I've loved what I've seen from Musa, but he's young and he's raw, so you can't count on him for heavy minutes just yet. But yeah, this game was brutal. Not as
I have
brutal as
another
the following
question.
games, but yeah. What's up?
What is our center doing with 5 turnovers? You mentioned in the last podcast that Zubac he's been having I guess a difficulty handling the ball.
Yeah,
Um, and
as he does, the hot
I
potato.
saw, yeah, I saw a lot of passes from James Harden just kind of fumbled by Zubac,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think I've been I've been saying this for years. We need to get rid of Zubac because I just don't think he is the right center for our team.
That's I mean that's
Yeah,
fair.
he
A
puts
lot of
up
people would
numbers
agree
in the
with you.
regular season. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he puts up good numbers in the regular season. He's pretty good against other centers. But when it comes to him in today's game, as in pick and rolls, 3-point shooters, it's a guards league, he just gets torched in every possible way. And if he can't produce on offense, it's kind of like, what is he there for? That's the question I have. I think Ty Lue gives him a lot of minutes for some reason I have never understood because I never really saw him as that great of a player. I think a lot of centers can come in and do a better job than he can, but that's just me. I mean, looking at these numbers from this game, this was his chance to kind of battle against other centers, to play some defense and to actually
Be a
do
force on the glass
be a force on the
against
glass, and he got torched
yeah.
literally. So it's kind of at this point it's kind of questioning like what is he doing? You were saying that his body language is different. He looks slower. He, I mean, I think you mentioned last podcast that he's not really thinking the way he should be.
Yeah, it's the
I think
mentality.
I think maybe he's hearing the rumblings about him maybe not being a Clipper at the end of the season, or maybe getting traded at some point. But it's not looking good for him, and I've never really found him to be that great of a player for us.
Yeah,
But other than that, I mean Kawhi I thought did an okay had an okay game. I think he's overdue for a big game, but like I said, like I always
Kawhi's
say, it's Kawhi. But we'll touch on Kawhi once we get to the other games. But I think Kawhi in this game, I mean, he was -12, but I think I really don't have anything to say about his game this game. What about
yeah. I
you?
mean, I think we should probably move on to the next game because
Yeah,
while the Knicks game was frustrating, after that game had finished, I was under the impression
we go
uh,
off.
yeah, it was just it's Harden's first game. We're
Yeah.
figuring things out. That's probably the reason why Zoo is fumbling these passes. Um, and we kind of hung around for about 3 quarters of that game, the Knicks game. It was really after Plum got hurt that we started falling apart a little bit, and
Yeah.
so I was kind of willing to look past that, and that brings us to the 100-93 loss against a crippled Brooklyn Nets team.
Mm-hmm.
That to me was you know, even though we got shellacked by the Mavericks and we lost to the Grizzlies, the Nets game to me might have been one of the more frustrating ones because
Ooh,
they
not
were
for me.
without Claxton. They were with I think their only center might have been Dayron Sharp. They were without Claxton.
Yeah.
Let me take a look at the box score real quick because I think it was really there for the taking. Yeah, Bridges, Mikal Bridges only had 10. Um, Dayron Sharp was really the only center on the floor.
Yeah.
They were down a lot of guys, and we didn't manage to even look like we had control of that game. And that to me was a bigger upset than the Knicks game. And Zoo had a better night on the boards individually, but still he had 10 to well, Sharp had 10, but he let guys like Royce O'Neal get 10, Dorian Finney-Smith get 9, Mikal Bridges had 8. This to me was a game where I thought Zoo really could have showed, you know, you know, flex his muscles a little bit on the boards, and
Hmm.
he didn't. So break down a little bit what happened that game, Rolla, and what was so frustrating.
So
Because to
I
me,
guess
that was the most frustrating one.
yeah, I guess following up on that, I think I mentioned this last podcast, but I feel that the Clippers have to go into each game not expecting Zubac to get every board, but coming into the game as a we're going to get boards by committee. As in everyone, like I said in the last podcast, we have tall players. Paul George is 6'9". Kawhi is like 6'8". Those are two of our biggest players. Westbrook is a rebounding guard. James Harden is what, like 6'6"? I mean, we have tall players on the floor in our starting lineup. Zubac, I mean, like, he's a center. That's kind of his job on this team, is to get boards, blocks, put back dunks. The center type of role. But at the same time, we gotta fight for boards. I mean, I think there's no reason you can't put McCall Bridges getting 8 boards and Dorian Finney-Smith getting 9 boards, Royce O'Neal getting 10. You can't put that all on Zoo. What
Yeah,
what what is Kawhi and Paul George doing? They have to be there too. They're not. I mean, you can't. Is Dorian Finney-Smith that much taller than Paul George? Is Royce O'Neal taller than Kawhi? You know what I mean? So it's just frustrating to see that they're not really. They don't have the energy. They're not really working to get boards and to get to play defense. I just don't see I just don't see an energy from this team right now. Especially in this game, I didn't really see it. One thing I liked was Paul George was a little bit more aggressive. He had 24 points, 1 block, 3 steals, 7 boards, but 8 of 8 from the free throw line. But
the issue was
overall,
it kind of all came late.
I mean,
I
it
think.
came late, but I think that's better because I thought he kind of carried on to the next game. It's like one of those things where I'd rather Paul George at some point in the game be aggressive than not at all because then he can carry it on to the next games and kind of get back to himself.
Yeah,
But yeah, overall, pretty frustrating game. This is another one that I turned off in the fourth quarter, just because it didn't look like we had the energy. It didn't look like we wanted it. I mean, Terrence Mann. This was the first game Terrence Mann was back, right?
it
He
was. Yeah,
he's usually our energy guy. That's I'm not really too worried about him. He had 0 points, but it's Terrence Mann. So I think that Terrence Mann will, in these types of games moving forward, I think Terrence Mann is kind of the guy that'll bring our team back. But overall, low energy. This is James Harden's return to Brooklyn. He played like
yeah. They were
shit.
chanting. They were chanting Daryl Morey. The Brooklyn fans were
Yeah,
chanting Daryl Morey,
I mean,
and
he's got to have some sort. Like, where was the energy? I mean, he didn't bring it. Where was the want to, prove to shut up the crowd that superstars have in these types of games, types of cases?
yeah,
Didn't see it. But then again, this was his second game, so
it
it's
was.
not.
And he only got up what 9 shots. He was 4 for 9, so the efficiency was
Yeah.
there. He had 8 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. He did have 5 turnovers, led the team in
Hmm.
turnovers. Um, that's one game, like kind of like you were saying. I would have liked him to kind of take over maybe when the shots weren't falling. But then again,
Yeah.
it's so like it's hard to this pod is gonna be fucking hard because you can't rationalize a lot of the stuff that's going on. I think in this game, our guys were missing a ton of open shots.
Hmm.
We were getting, and I think the Brooklyn Nets are shooting the ball pretty well behind the arc this season. They have a lot of guys that can knock it down. Dorian Finney-Smith is shooting lights out so far this season, and we finished the game shooting 22% from three to their
Yep.
36. And the attempts were sort of there. We had 36 attempts. We only hit 8. Um, So we were missing wide open shots, which kind of does give me comfort. I know that Joey Lynn, a really good follow on Twitter, he does some uh, he does videos, breakdowns, and stuff like that. He made a point around this time that said, the Clippers are shooting 20, like in the mid to low 20s on open shots. So these are shots that'll fall,
Mm-hmm.
which made me, gave me a little bit of hope. But these are shots that we need to hit. Kawhi and PG. Kawhi is scorching from three early on in the season, first couple games of the season, and I think it's a lot of everybody not wanting to step on anybody's toes. Um,
Bro, I gotta say this, man. A few years ago, they were talking about Kawhi, and they mentioned that he wasn't a superstar, or the Clippers would never, see him as a superstar because he wasn't a leader. And during that time, we had Pat Bev, so we had a voice, we had like a vocal leader. And so the on court things, the on court leadership, the lead by example type of game was Kawhi's, where he didn't really speak, he didn't really lead as much, but he led by going off in the games, getting steals, playing defense,
right.
scoring. And honestly, man, I'm not really seeing the leadership on the court from Kawhi. He doesn't like he you like you mentioned he doesn't want to step on anyone. Like who cares? This is game 8 of the season. Step on some toes. No one's gonna cry and say, "Hey, you're not." No, step on toes. This is your team, Kawhi. You're the number one guy. You get paid the most on this team. Ball out. What? I'm sorry. I get it. I've been Kawhi's gonna Kawhi, right? I think he's gonna every game. He's basically gonna do more or less the same thing. But at some point, he's got to step up. I'm sorry. How is he not getting 30 points? Has he gotten 30 points a single time this season?
He's gotten close. I know that I
He's got to
forget which game it
score.
was. Yeah,
One game, give it one game. One game. This is my game. I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna drop 40. No one can tell
yeah.
me anything. Give me the ball. I'm gonna go off. That's it. And I'm gonna get us this win. He hasn't done that for us. What?
It's tough
What
though.
is? I guess like my question is what is he do? Like either he's either they figured him out or he's just not like trying to score. I don't really understand it. I think this season I've seen more of that from Paul George, and this we're still early in the season, so you never really know. Maybe he's kind of trying to conserve his energy for middle of the season or end of the season. But I need to see something from Kawhi at some point. Give us one game where you go off.
Yeah.
I don't really understand what he's waiting for. Like
See, I
why are we trying to sorry why are we trying
you're good.
to give Paul George, oh, this will be Paul George,
Yeah.
demand the ball and score. You know what I mean? We need offense. How are we only dropping 93 points against the Brooklyn Nets? You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
No,
It's
I get
unacceptable to
it.
me.
I agree with you to that point. It's hard because there's it's a tale of two sides, right? I mean, we're bringing in a ball dominant guy who, in his defense, James Harden has really looked like he's been trying to get guys involved. So I think everybody's kind of out of rhythm. When you bring in, and this was always going to be tough because you're bringing in another guy to add
But
to a
it
group of guys that need the ball in their hands to be effective, and so everybody's kind of having to
but that's
figure
the
out on the
thing.
fly.
I understand that, but he's got to realize, oh, you know what? This should be an easy win for us. We fumbled the Knicks. Let me get this one. Let me get this one for us. You know, James Harden, you can have the next one. Paul George, you can have the next one. Let me. You think like comparing Kawhi to other superstars, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron. These other superstars aren't just going to sit back and let other teams lose to these little teams. Someone like LeBron is going to demand the ball and lead the team to a win. Someone like Steph Curry, you're trying to tell me Steph Curry wouldn't drop 40 on the Brooklyn Nets in a game, like where you could foresee this getting out of hand. It's just very frustrating to see from your number one guy.
It is. It definitely is. I think, to your point, I still am of the belief that, this whole thing is going to take time and especially with bringing in a guy like James Harden, you want to make sure that everybody gets a touch. But Ty Lue he's talked a couple times, after the trade was made, that this is going to have to be a trade with sacrifices. This trade was made with the intention that guys were going to have to make sacrifices, right? And I think that Kawhi and PG are hearing that kind of mentality and thinking that it's them that have to make this sacrifice. But you know what? I think Ty Lue needs to probably go into a little bit more detail with the guys and let it be known that Russ and James Harden are probably going to have to make the biggest sacrifices, because I think one of them is going to have to come off the bench. I think it's probably going to have to be Russ. And like I said, no indictment on Russ. I've loved Russ's time with the Clippers, and I think that he can be a huge part of this team. But I think that Kawhi and PG need to realize that they're not the ones that need to make these sacrifices. This is
But
the
isn't that
2-1-3.
obvious? That's
It
what's
should
annoying.
be.
Isn't that obvious to Paul George and Kawhi?
It
They're
should be.
this is this has been their team since 2020. Why would the expectation be on them to make the sacrifice?
Well, that's
You know
been
what
the
I mean?
theme. It seems like there's times when they take a
It's
back
just,
seat,
well,
and
it's just so frustrating. It's,
oh
Kawhi.
no, tell me twice.
I think Kawhi can get away with that. He he should be, you know, going off, doing whatever. But at the end of the day, in the playoffs, he's going to go off, right?
Right.
Someone that it frustrates me to the point of no end is Paul George taking a back seat. That's the issue I have with his mentality. He doesn't have that superstar mentality. What are you doing? If we look at Paul George's talent level compared to James Harden, you can't tell me that James Harden has more talent than Paul George. You cannot tell me with a straight face James Harden has more talent. If Paul George looks at James Harden as like, James Harden can do this, this, that, and that, but he can't do this. He doesn't hit mid range at the level I do. Kawhi's gonna, do what he does. I hope that, in the next game he goes off and he demands the ball. But man, Paul George can't be taking a back seat ever. Ever. I'm sorry. Does someone like James Harden, I don't care if James Harden's scoring leader, I don't care what he is. But, honestly, James Harden isn't as good as Paul George. I'm going to say it straight up. And you can see it outright.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it's
I had to go off a little bit.
no, you're good. I
It's
agree.
frustrating.
No, I agree with all that. I think that's the question that Clipper Nation's probably been asking themselves, particularly the last couple games. But for a little while now, it's been a theme. It's been a theme of Kawhi and PG kind of not necessarily being able to produce at the same time. Like it's either one or the other consistently. It's either Kawhi has a good game or PG has a good game. Um, it's kind of shocking sometimes when both of them put up dominant numbers together, and so I think that they need to figure out. I mean, it seems obvious to us, but they need to figure out that they're the pillars of this franchise, and it doesn't matter who we bring in. They need to be the go-to guys, and um, yeah, I think that we were talking about the Nets. Now it's kind of become a whole another thing, but it's hard when the last four games have been kind of a lot of the same thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, bringing it back to the net, I'm going to try and reel it in a little bit, but
Yeah.
bringing it back to the Nets, Cam Thomas goes down in the third quarter. He was starting to torch us too, and we had a chance to really beat up on a team that looked like they could be, put away, and we didn't. We needed somebody to take over, and we didn't get that, and that didn't really change in the game against the Mavs, the next game that we're going to talk about. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
This game was always going to be tough. The first game of the in-season tournament. This game was going to be tough. The Mavs are playing really good basketball. Luka seems to take everything personally against us. He's a generational talent. He ended up putting up 44 points and winning the game 144-126. The game was over, going into the fourth. Um, and you look at the box score, and Kawhi did have 26 points. Um, and it sucks because he ended up kind of taking over a little bit at times, but Paul George had 8. And he was 3 for 12. He was 1 for 7 from three. And the second leading scorer was Bones off the bench, with 17. And it's kind of like we said, Kawhi's putting up 26, but PG's sitting there with 8. Harden and Westbrook had 14 apiece. Zoo had 12. He chipped in a little bit this game, but it's back to the same thing. You can't
Oh
get
yeah.
out. You can't seem to get output from both of the stars, the guys that this team's built around. So
Can I say something really quick? Kind of going back to I guess Kawhi. Um, I believe it was the 2021 playoffs that we went to, where we saw the Mavs Clippers playoff game. It was game two, or
yeah,
yeah,
we were
two, I
in the
believe,
building.
right?
Yeah,
So I remember, I believe Lucas scored like 50 point or like 40
I
something, right?
blocked I blocked that shit out. I couldn't tell you if
No, but
Luca
what
had
I want to,
12
but
or if he had 100.
so yeah, so what I want to say is Luca went off, right? That game, I remember specifically, Kawhi had 41 points because everyone was saying he went off and the rest of the team didn't. So what is, I guess, frustrating to me here? Yeah, Kawhi did well. He dropped 26 points, but he's capable of scoring 41 points against this Dallas Mavericks team. Like, I guess my question is what is stopping him from doing so? I mean, Paul George obviously wasn't on his game. James
That's the
Harden had
bigger
6
thing to me.
shots.
That's the
So I
bigger thing to
guess
me.
no. I guess my question is Kawhi only took 15 shots in 29 minutes. I guess my question is how is he not taking more shots
Because we have
and I guess
four ball dominant
scoring?
guys on our team.
But that's the thing. At some point, he's got to demand that he's the guy in one game. One game, he's got to be like, I get you guys are great players. Let me have this game to go off. Let me have this game to go off to kind of lead the team back into having some sort of passion for the sport. You know what I mean? It's just so what they went on a 33-5 run in the second quarter, first quarter.
Yeah.
I no, it was the second quarter. What is going on? Kawhi's got to, I think Kawhi has got to, once he sees that team going off, Kawhi's got to say, you know what? We've lost the last 2 games. Let me go off to kind of combat them scoring 30 points. It's just it's shocking. This game was shocking to me, but at the same time, not because we always get torched by the Mavs in the regular season. I think it was 2 or 3 seasons ago we lost 51 points. We lost by 51 points to them. Luca obviously has a vendetta against us because we've torched him two playoff series in a row.
Yeah, Mavs fans. I saw a lot of Mavs fans on Twitter, taking their victory lap, and obviously they should
Yeah,
have. They spanked us, but let's not forget. Let's not forget who knocked them out of the playoffs twice in a row.
but I mean,
That's all
at
I'm
the end of the
saying.
day, like, why are we? Why are we? I mean, we can lose this game, fine, whatever. But to lose in this fashion, like,
Yeah,
where's
it
the
was
energy?
embarrassing.
Where's the passion for the
Luca
sport?
pulled our little.
We've lost two. We lost 2 games in a row before this, bro. But
Yeah,
it's like, what do we do? Like to have this to come into the third game and having lost two games in a row. Where's the passion? Where's the motivation? Let's not lose 3 games in a row. Let's try to beat this Mavericks team that we know is going to come out passionate against us. It's kind of like a situation with the Lakers against us in the game last week. We had been beating them every game for like years now, and they came in hungry because they wanted to finally break it.
yeah.
Why didn't we come in hungry in this game? I think the first quarter we played pretty well. The second quarter we just completely collapsed. I really don't know what's going on. I mean, Luca is an amazing player, but we've played this dude so many times. We know him. We know like his play style. How does he keep torching us like this? I don't know.
I mean, he's Luka's that good, and I'm not as surprised that Luka went off. He's amazing. He loves torching us, and it's just one of those things that happens. But
I
yeah,
forgot. I actually know why he. I know why he went off, but I'll let you talk.
the energy just wasn't there. And again, it was this offense. Guys are not hitting their shots. We're shooting 29% from three, and they ended up shooting 45. They were hitting some
Hmm.
crazy shots, but when you give the guys that kind of you give guys that kind of confidence, they're going to hit shots. I mean, we've seen what Tim Hardaway can do when he's feeling it against us, and some of their auxiliary
Yeah.
guys. They had that confidence, they were feeling it, and they let it fly from three. And we weren't hitting open shots. We were not hitting open shots, and we only put up 23 3-point attempts to their 42. I mean, I know they shoot a lot of threes, but we need to try and force the issue and try and get shots that go in and hit our open shots and make them pay. Because when we're hitting our shots, we're a hard team to beat.
Right.
Um, it's a cold stretch in the worst way, and I think a big part of that is rhythm. We're again, I'm just going to keep harping on the same thing. I think a lot of guys are out of rhythm, particularly 2-1-3, Paul George and Kawhi. I think that this trade is affecting them more mentally than I would have imagined. They don't feel like they can hit these open shots that they're used to hitting when they did have the ball in their hands more prior to the trade. Um, I'm not upset that Luka went off on us. Luka goes off on us in the games that we win, but it's the energy, it's
Hmm.
the inability to make shots. Um, that was the biggest thing. We couldn't hit anything, and they were hitting everything. And this was the first game out of the three or out of the four that I think that the calls were a little lopsided. They were getting and ones on just about every shot that they were taking, but at that point, the game was already over. And I don't know. This game was frustrating, but it was almost like, okay, what are you going to do? Luka's hitting crazy shots. The moment he gets Zeus switched out on him, it's
Yep.
just it's game
Barbecue
over.
chicken.
He's going to hit that shot every single time.
But
Um,
you want to know something crazy? Is he's been doing that to Zoo since 2021.
yeah, I
Was
mean,
that
we need to
2020?
just
Was the
stop
first
switching
series?
on those.
Was the first series in 2020 or 2021? I think it was 2020, right?
The first one was
One
2020 was the
thing.
bubble. I don't even know anymore. COVID fucked everything up
Yeah,
in
I think it
terms of
was.
my
I think it was
timeline. But
2020 before the shutdown. Oh wait, no, the
either
shutdown
way,
was regular season.
We played them a lot in the
So
playoffs, and
I guess what I want to say is in the playoffs. Usually this doesn't happen in the regular season, but I guess when we play against Luca, he doesn't care. He just wants to torch us. Is they always hunt down the matchup with Zoo because this dude cannot guard any guard on the perimeter. He is gonna Luca. I want to. I don't know if there's a way to see how many. I guess how many shot or how many points Luca had on a specific person.
you can't expect Zoo to hang with him at the perimeter. They
But
just
why
need to
are we
stop
playing
switching.
him?
They just need to
No,
stop
no, no.
switching those.
But you can't. But there's points where you can't. If they keep bringing the same guy to like, he's gonna get the switch at some point. He's gonna get the switch, and Zoo cannot guard this dude. Why? Let's see. Why is Zoo playing 22 minutes? That's the question I have. He gets torched by Luca every time they're on the
We had
floor
no other
together, bro.
choice though, dude. We didn't have Plumlee. To be
No, but we
honest, I
don't have.
liked.
We've always every time we've gone small ball against the Mavericks, that's been our best lineup. And when we go small ball and we get boards by committee, that's been our best lineup. But for some reason, Ty Lue, for some reason, thinks that one game is going to be different. The next game is going to be different. Luca, every time Luca sees Zoo on the court, it's barbecue chicken, bro. It's crazy to me that he's still on the that they even share the court together at the same
I mean
time.
it, and you saw it a little bit late in the game. Once the game was already over, Ty Lue did throw Musa Diabate out there. I Musa has been one of the bright spots to me over the last four games. Particularly, it's compounded because we don't have Mason and we kind of need somebody with
Mm-hmm.
size. Um, I thought Musa, in the short minutes that he was guarding Luka, one thing I like about him is he can shuffle his feet. He's got that lateral quickness at the perimeter where he can hang. He's still young and he gets in foul trouble, but he can hang with guys at the perimeter. I think that his defensive versatility is actually a little bit slept on. That
Mhm.
was the one thing that I noticed about him early on last season when he did get spot minutes here and there is he can hang out at the perimeter, and I think that I would have liked to see him a little bit more than Zoo. But at the end of the day, man, like we don't have our backup center. We need someone with size out there. Um,
Right.
the only issue is,
I don't think we
Musa.
need someone with size. I mean, we could like it benefits us sometimes, but I think in games like this, I don't think we don't need someone with size. I think we can
Yeah,
go. We can if see that's the energy. That's the energy part. If we played with more energy and more motivation, the boards by committee thing works. If everyone pitches in and everyone buys in and everyone fights for a board for the boards. I mean, like if they have one center against Paul George, Kawhi, and Russ jumping for the ball, I mean, I would bet on our players grabbing that board. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But I mean, I feel like it's always worked for us in the past when we run the small ball lineup, especially against this Mavs team, especially in the playoffs. Whenever we run the small ball, I think in every game we've won in a series against the Mavs, it's been small ball lineup
We
because
can't really go
Luca just
small anymore.
eats.
That's
No,
the
we
thing.
can. We can though. We can.
We
We
lost
have,
a lot of our wing depth that we used to be able to run small ball with.
but our our
That's an
start
issue.
our starting lineup with PJ Tucker is a small ball lineup.
Dude, okay, that's another thing too. I'm a big PJ Tucker fan. I think that if you want to learn how to play defense coming into the league and you're a wing and you got good size, I think that you watch PJ Tucker defensive highlights because that dude, was an absolute stopper in his prime. But, unfortunately, I think PJ Tucker's about 2 years past his prime. I think that he can still be effective, but from what I've seen from him recently, or I mean, just in his time with the Clippers so far, he's a little past his prime. He's a little over the hill, and we can't count on a 57-year-old PJ Tucker to fucking be like the key to our small ball lineup. We just can't. I don't think we can do it, and you can get away with it with Nico and with Rocco and
I,
KJ and
I I
even
do. I think if we, I don't think he has a role. I don't think he understands his role yet. If we gave him the role of you're our center, your job is to fight for boards and play defense. Fight for boards along Kawhi and Paul George. He visibly sees Paul George and Kawhi fighting for boards and Russ fighting for boards against the center. You can't tell me he's not going to be motivated to play center. He's played center like you said in his prime. It's not. It's. I don't think it's crazy. I think it's just the mentality thing for this Clippers team
we got to play Kobe
that
Brown.
every,
That's the answer. Kobe Brown, dude. Kobe Brown. I liked what I've seen from him. He's got that youth. He can shoot the ball. That's the biggest thing is he can shoot the ball. I'm not saying to give him every minute of the backup four spot, but I love PJ Tucker. He's had a great career, champion. He's been effective everywhere that he's gone. But oh my god, dude, like he's getting up there. He's getting up there, and I just don't think he has a whole lot left in the tank. And I think that that's something that I'll talk about after this next recap. But I think that we need to go out and get some depth at the 4 and the 5. I think it needs to happen sooner rather than later because we have a void at the 4 and the 5. And as much as I love Musa Diabate, I think that we need somebody that we can count on to come off the bench or to just replace Zoo altogether. We need some size and we need some rebounding, and it doesn't
yeah.
have to be the skyscraping big, but we need somebody other than PJ Tucker to run a small ball lineup. I don't know. We'll
We
touch on
just
that a little bit later.
we just need energy, bro. That's all we ask. Even if we lose,
Give
we
the
just need to
team
see
Red
something,
Bulls.
dude.
Give the team
Give
sugar-free
the
Red
team Red
Bulls
Bulls, bro.
at every halftime.
Let's just tase
Every
each and
halftime.
every one of them, bro.
Yeah, let's
Let's
tase
just
them and then
let's
give them
just
a Red Bull.
electrocute, bro.
Yes.
Right after we take a
Yes.
shower, bro.
Yeah, that might be the key. Someone get Ty Lue on the phone. Tasing at halftime is
Bro,
the game plan.
You know what will fix all the problems, bro? I'm gonna tell you right now, bro. They fire, and by they I mean the Clippers. Steve Ballmer, fire Ty Lue. Honestly, sign me to a 1 mil 1 year contract for the rest of this
All
season,
right.
bro.
Rolla's getting
Give me
loopy. We're gonna
give me
move
one
on.
chance, bro. I swear
We
to
are
God.
gonna move on.
I
Rolla
swear
is
to
the
God,
new
bro.
head
I
coach
know
of
the
the
answers,
Clippers.
bro.
Everybody,
I
holy
know the
shit!
answers, bro. Give me one season, bro. I'll turn it around. I swear to God. We'll have
All
one
right.
chip, bro. At least one.
We are
At
moving
least
on.
one, bro.
We are moving on to the final game to cover. This game was a hard pill to swallow too.
This was the
The
worst one,
Clippers
actually.
the Clippers lose to the Memphis Grizzlies, who had one win prior to the
Yep.
last yesterday's afternoon game. 105, 101. Desmond Bain drops 27 on the Clips. They got a lot of help from Biz Shaq Biombo, because this dude was looking dominant as
He was
hell.
balling.
Dude, Bismack Biombo chips in with 12 rebounds and 13 points. Desmond Bain had 27. Uh, Luke Kennard had 13 off the bench. The Clippers lost to the worst team in the Western Conference.
Uh-huh.
Paul George had 26. Paul George got it going late. But again, Paul George at 26, Kawhi Leonard has 14. I'm
What?
going to kind of omit Westbrook and Harden from most of these discussions, because I think that the point that I want to drive is 2-1-3. And we didn't see a combination, a dominant combination of those two. And it led to just.
All right.
Just
I think. Can I just
Go
cut you off,
ahead.
dude?
Go ahead,
Let's just
please.
address the elephant in the room, bro. I think, and this is a hot take. This is not hot take, shot take, but this is still a hot take. Let's just stop giving Kawhi the ball at the end of games. He doesn't deserve it. He doesn't make good plays.
I think that he deserves it, but we have better options.
Nope. No, I think I would rather have the ball in Bones Highland's hands. Actually, it's to that.
Well, that's another thing, dude. Bones is
for the next podcast. You know what I think I'm gonna do? I'm gonna see if I can run his clutch, or Kawhi's clutch stats. I'm not even kidding. I think he's made maybe a total of 2 shots in the last 2 minutes of the season so far. He doesn't hit shot. He doesn't hit his shots. He doesn't make good plays. He doesn't get boards. He literally doesn't do anything in the last 2 minutes, and he demands the ball like he's been balling the past 4 games.
I mean,
Why
he is a
would you
champion,
pass him the ball,
multi-time champion,
dude? I don't care.
I wouldn't say that he doesn't deserve the ball.
He doesn't deserve
late
it,
game
bro.
situations.
He's been playing with no motivation. Why would we give him the ball as a coach? Why would Ty Lue drop a play for him? Why in the hell would he drop a play for him? First person I'm drawing up a play for, Paul George. Number 2, James Harden.
And you know what? Those guys did hit big shots down the stretch. We cut into the lead. I think we took a 1-point lead. We were battling in the last couple minutes. James Harden somehow gets an offensive rebound off a really sloppy 50-50 ball, hits a 3 in the corner. Paul George was putting the team on his back late. We were getting some shots from 3. And I think in those situations, it's not necessarily Kawhi doesn't deserve it, but I think that you have to know that we have all of this talent.
How can you tell me he
starting
doesn't deserve
lineup?
it? As a coach, in that game, you see Kawhi with a total of 14 points. And you see Paul George balling 26 points. You see James Harden at the end of the game, he hits a big shot. What in your brain tells you, let's drop a play, let me give the ball to Kawhi, let's put it in his hands to take us home. I'm drawing up a play for Paul George, period. No one else can. Assistant coach, hey, maybe we should. No, it's Paul George. It's his time. Give him the ball. If he misses it, we'll live with it. Kawhi, it's just been brick city from him, bro. There's really nothing else to say.
Brick
the ball's
City,
in his hands.
That's the new nickname.
Bro, honestly, from this point on until proven otherwise, if I see the ball in his hands at the end of the game, I'm just gonna assume we lost. at this
Well,
point.
the thing is, you have to you have to contextualize like in the game. If Kawhi catches the ball low, if Kawhi catches the ball low, has a smaller defender on him, and it has the ability to get a turnaround J, and he's if he's
But
been
that
cooking
happened,
throughout that,
bro. Did that not
yeah,
happen
but
in this game?
it
Was
did,
I
it did.
dreaming?
No, no. Particularly in this game, I would have loved to see James Harden or Paul George take that last shot. But I think that there's situations where Kawhi has the mismatch, and if he sees the ball go in the bucket, a
But he
couple
had
shots
two
prior,
chances like that. It was like two back-to-back chances where he had the
yeah,
ball, he had the mismatch, back to the basket, and he
I
just
didn't
bricked, bro.
I didn't love the shot either. I will say that.
Unbelievable.
But there was a lot of things that happened wrong down the stretch. There was a loose ball that Marcus Morris, or not Marcus Morris, sorry. I'll never disrespect Marcus Smart like that ever again. Marcus Smart, dove on the ground for a
Yeah,
50-50 ball right under the
that was
Grizzlies
really
basket.
impressive.
And on the ground, manages to get an assist to David Roddy for a dunk. Um, the 50-50, we're losing all the 50-50 balls, uh, particularly down the stretch. There's a loose ball. Guys aren't diving for it. Guys aren't scrapping for it. The energy kind of wasn't there. And you know what? I'm looking at the box score, and the stats were pretty even all across the board. Free throw percentage, 75 Grizzlies, 65 Clippers. We need to get better in that department too. Our free throws have been really bad. But we were both sure. We outshot the Grizzlies from 3-point percentage. 35-31. A lot of field goal percentage, 42 Grizzlies, 43 Clippers. We were pretty even all the way through. The issue is this is the fucking Grizzlies that had one win
It's
prior, and
unbelievable.
this is a game that we have to put away. And there really wasn't anywhere other than points in the paint where there was a glaring difference. 48 Grizzlies, 34 Clippers, but it was mistakes down the stretch, and we were playing catch up all game. Um,
Well,
yeah,
one thing
I
really,
don't know. And
really quick.
Terrence, from what I remember, Terrence had a pretty good game. This was
Hmm.
Terrence's probably best game since he's been back. He only had 7 points, but he chipped in 3 assists, 3 rebounds. He looked good out there. He was a plus 13. I think he had the highest plus minus on the team. He with Terrence, his stats aren't going to jump off the page, but he's cutting. I can't remember who it was that found him off the dish for a dunk that got us within a couple single digit points down the stretch.
Yeah, I remember
Um,
that.
yeah, that's another thing, man. Is with this, if we don't stagger this lineup, this big four lineup effectively, you're going to see less minutes from Terrence. And from what I heard on Twitter, I think Ty Lue said that Bones is going to be out of the rotation until further notice. Like that can't happen.
Whoa,
Like we need to find a way to incorporate these guys into the game because Bones was balling before the trade, and I'm still of the belief that this trade is going to help us out. I think that it was the right trade to make, but you have
I
to
agree.
make it work. And I think that separating Harden and Russ and allowing Kawhi and PG to cook and kind of spreading Bones minutes here and there, spreading
Hmm.
Terrence's minutes here and there. Like I said, I love PJ Tucker. I don't think that he should be getting as many minutes as he's gotten so far. It's everything is just all over the place.
Can I say something
And
really quick? I,
I don't
I
know if I want to hear you say anything right now,
no,
Rula.
no, it's just really quick. I was expecting this to be a close game because, like you had said, the
It
Grizzlies only
shouldn't
have
have
one.
been though. It shouldn't
No, no,
have
no.
been.
But the thing is like they were obviously motivated because they have one win. They're gonna come in motivated. But the thing is, I
We're
think
not
we
motivated.
no, we were. That's why I think it was so close to the end. Like that, if this was a regular game where middle of the season, whatever, we have similar records, whatever, I think we blow them out. But I think that to that game was on Sunday. I think that both teams were extremely motivated, and I think that's why it was such a close game. I think that we didn't. I don't. I personally don't think it was a bad game from our team. I just think that when it came down to it, they made their shots and we didn't. at the end of the day. That's kind
Yeah,
of it. I don't think it was a bad. I
I
don't think it was a
guess.
bad game from our team. I'm gonna be real. I really don't.
Didn't you just
I
say that
think
this was the worst loss?
no. I said. Did I say it was this one? No, I said it was the
You
last
did.
game.
You did. I got check the footage. Check the
Dude,
footage,
okay, we'll
bro.
check the footage. We'll check the footage. I think it was. I said it was the last game. Oh no! I did say it was this game because
Yeah. So
Kawhi bricked the
explain
shots at the
yourself.
end.
Explain yourself.
I
I got the receipts on you now.
I think it was the worst game because Kawhi bricked the shots at the end, which I think he should have made. But
Oh,
the overall game, I think the Clippers played pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie to you. I wasn't. I mean, I would like to be leading most of the game, but I don't think that it was one of our games where like we just played like shit and we lost. Like, we deserved to
I
lose.
agree. The
I don't think
Nets
we
game to
deserved
me
to.
was the Nets game to me was the worst. But I think that there's no excuse when you have lost three in a row and all of NBA Twitter is talking shit about you. There's that one Mavs commentator or post game thing
Oh yeah, we
where he
torched
went off, torched James Harden, absolutely torched this guy.
him.
Like people are, you're in the mouths of everybody in the NBA world,
But tell me
and you
this:
need.
if Kawhi hit that shot at the end, are we hearing anything from that Grizzlies whatever? Are we hearing any talk? Are we hearing anything about
No,
us having a bad
it was a
game?
Maverick. It was a Mavericks guy. It was the
No, I
game
know,
prior.
I know. Are we hearing? Was that the game prior or was that this game?
It was the
That was
game
on.
prior. It was the game prior.
Oh, okay.
So he was talking
Gotcha.
his smack after the Mavs game. It was a Mavs commentator
Gotcha.
or whatever.
Gotcha.
I don't
Gotcha.
know
Gotcha.
who he is. Shouts out to that guy.
Yeah, he
Um,
torched James Harden. But
yeah,
still, I
I don't
think
know,
we
man.
I think we hear less noise had Kawhi hit those shots. I don't think we torch the Clippers as hard as we're doing today because we would at least have one win. You know
It
what I
just
mean?
shouldn't have gotten to that point. It should not have gotten to
Yeah.
that point. And
I just think it's hard to. I just think it's this.
you can't let Bismack Biyombo torch you like that. You know, this dude, this dude was like signed
Not
2 days
Bismack,
ago.
bro.
This dude was signed 2 or 3 days ago to the Grizzlies, and he feasted. He absolutely feasted. How many fucking boards did Zoo have? That's what I want to know. I'm so sorry, Zoo. Zoo
He
had
had
six boards.
bro.
6 boards, 6 points. Westbrook had 9. Westbrook led the team in rebounds. Paul George had 7. I don't know, man. This something's. I'm done talking about this Grizzlies game. I think that I've exhausted all of my energy recapping because it's all the same thing. I think at the end of the day, 2-1-3 needs to be better. I have liked, for the most part, what I've seen from James Harden. I knew that this was going to be a process. I know that he's trying to get guys involved. I would love to see him take more shots. I would love to see Russ come off the bench or him come off the bench. If James Harden come off the bench, I'm okay with that. I don't think that you make this trade to bring James Harden off the bench, so I don't think
No.
that would happen. And it sucks because Russ signed on the low with this team in the offseason, I'm sure with the promise of being a starting point guard. And so if you can convince Russ to come off the bench, or if you can convince one of those two to come off the bench, I think that would do wonders. The lineups are all wonky. Something needs to happen, and I think my closing solution is the Clippers need to find a way to add some height to this team or add some front court depth. I heard a report that the Clippers are interested in trading for Daniel Tice. I think Daniel Tice is very good. He looked like a monster in the Euro Cup or whatever for Germany. He ended up winning the Euro Cup for Germany. He's really good, but he's 6'8". He's undersized. You're basically putting out a Kawhi-sized, Paul George-sized guy out there. I think we need someone that we can bring in that we can count on. Hey, go and get us 10 rebounds. You don't have to do anything else. Foul out of the game if you have to. We just need to be at least respected on the glass, and we haven't gotten that from Zoo. We've gotten that. Our best rebounder right now is probably Russell Westbrook, and that I love that from Russ, but that can't be the case. One of the guys that I've been begging the Clippers to take a look at is Isaiah Jackson on the Pacers. He's criminally underrated. He's not getting a ton of minutes. He's a little undersized too, but he plays really big, grabs rebounds. a lot better on the defensive end, especially down in the paint, than he gets credit for. His per 36 is awesome, and he's only making 4 million, 5 million a year. Daniel Tice is making 9. I don't love that number for a guy like Daniel Tice, especially if it means that we have to trade for him.
Mm-hmm.
I think make a play for someone like Isaiah Jackson. Uh, I've been a big Nas Reed guy. I think if the Clippers were
Oh,
going
I
to make a
love
big
Nas Reed,
swing, yeah, he
and he
did give an
hits threes.
extension. He does. I don't think the Clippers would be able to swing that. If they can, great. But I think there's a bunch of bargain bigs out there too. Nerlens Noel is out there.
Mm-hmm.
I, I don't know what Andre Drummond's status is with the Bulls. The Bulls haven't looked very good. I don't love
No,
Andre Drummond, but I mean, just
he can get some boards though.
somebody to be a presence on the glass.
Yeah.
I would say make a trade for a 4 or a 5 and sign a budget big. Like we don't know how long Mason Plumlee is going to be out, but from every indication that I've heard, it's going to be at least a month or two.
Damn.
We need some help on the glass. There's just a couple of things that need to change. Like I said, I am of the belief that we do have enough talent, top tier talent, that we can figure this out. But we need to start winning games because
Mm-hmm.
we started out the season with an easy schedule and it only gets harder. I mean, you look
Yeah.
tomorrow, we're going to go
Look
and
at our
play
next
the
game.
reigning champs. They won't have Jamal Murray, and we're going to touch on a
God.
little bit of a preview coming up, but we need to wrap this shit up. We've been harping on
Yeah. Let's.
this
Yeah.
horrible play for the last hour. Basically, yeah, I think that there's certain things that need to change, and they need to be changed quickly. This season obviously is still salvageable,
Of
but
course.
holy shit, man, we need to do something to at least
But
look competitive, and it needs to happen soon. If it means
honestly,
bringing in a free agent or making a trade for a center, that needs to happen ASAP because right now you're seeing the ramifications of bringing guys in and getting rid of guys, and there's this chemistry, this gelling period that needs to happen, and I get that, but the season has already started and it only gets harder from here. So make a trade for a center or pick up a center on the free agency in free agency. Do something, Clippers, please, please. That's
I agree.
my.
Yeah, I
What did
agree.
David Fizdale say? Take that for data. Take that for
Sure.
data. Take that for data.
Nah, I agree. Yeah, looking to this next game tomorrow. Um,
Fuck, we're playing the
this
Nuggets,
is
dude.
this is kind of why we
Yes.
needed to win the
Okay.
last four. One
Yes.
of the last,
That.
like one of the last four, would have been really cool to see. This next game, if we can somehow muster up some sort of motivation, some sort of energy, if Kawhi can come out and be a dominant superstar the way Jokic is for his team, I don't see why we can't win. You know what I mean?
That is a perfect segue into. It's going to be a doubleheader because we're running out of time. I'm going to start this preview off with a hot take, shot take. It took the Clippers 5 games after acquiring Russell Westbrook to get their first win. They lost 5 in a row after getting Russell Westbrook. We just lost 5 in a row after getting James Harden. We are
I thought
about.
it's been four.
It was 5 because including the Laker game, which James Harden didn't play in, but
Oh,
it was technically post trade. Okay,
so
um,
we could potentially lose 6 in a row.
but we won't because my hot take, shot take, and I'm going straight out of the bottle for the boys and girls out there in the audience. Um, my hot take, shot take is that the Clippers will get a demonstrative, not just like a close win, but a demonstrative win against the Nuggets tomorrow, and we'll start trying to get back on track. I know that we know how much this game means. We need to set the tone. The Nuggets will be without Jamal Murray. I say you attack Jokic on offense every chance that you get. You get him in foul trouble. The Clippers are going to win by at least 12 points. Let's call it 12 points. Cheers to that, Clipper Nation. Here we go. Oh, my. Yep. Yeah, that. Yeah. Um.
Yeah, man, I'm still trying to process the fact that we're playing the Nuggets tomorrow.
Oh my God.
But I think Kawhi has got to come in, being the superstar, and also Paul George. I'm tired of this glue guy mentality. I'm tired of this I'm second behind Kawhi mentality. I need him to be first option. I need him to have that mentality. I need him to have the mentality that I'm better than Jokic because on some real shit, tell me something. Tell me something that Jokic is significantly better than Paul George at. Tell me with a
Winning a
straight face.
championship.
Yeah, tell me with a straight face. No mentality included. Tell me Jokic is more talented than Paul George.
Jokic is not more. This is for those that aren't watching this on YouTube. I'm putting on a straight face. Nikola Jokic is not more talented than Paul George, but he is a better player.
Correct.
But
Absolutely correct.
so you want me to?
Absolutely correct.
But okay,
Sorry.
but talent. You know, we're getting sidetracked, but talent, is one thing, but the ability to take advantage of your opponent, like Jokic does, and having the size and the touch, and obviously the playmaking.
And it's I think it's all that just means impact. The impact to your team.
But what does
I
talent
think
mean? What does talent
I
mean
think
if?
talent is pure basketball skill. As in at the end of the day, I can do more with the basketball than you can. I can do more on the basketball court
It's Nikola
as in
Jokic, bro.
but I'm saying Paul George is elite at literally every part of the game. There isn't a single weakness in Paul George's game. I think Jokic has a little bit of a weakness on the defensive end.
Yeah, no,
I
I
think
agree. I
I
love
think
I
Jokic
love
has
Paul
a
George.
weakness in his athleticism, right? What's
Okay.
Paul George's weakness?
Well, with Jokic, it's the thing with Jokic is he presents such a matchup nightmare because you're getting all this
Of
playmaking
course,
from the center position. You have guys that can
of
really
course,
cut on the Nuggets that Jokic will always find. Aaron Gordon is one of the better cutters in the game. They have when Jamal Murray's healthy. You have a guy to kick it out to for three. Jamal Murray's when he's on, he shoots lights out. It's the matchups, but yeah, I don't know. I don't even know where I'm
I
going with this.
no. I'm trying to say is what I'm trying to say is I think Paul George, if he's playing his heart out, you can't tell me he can't have this a similar impact to the Clippers team that Jokic has to his team. Because I genuinely think that Paul George has the facilities. I think he has the skill level to give that impact to the Clippers, whether it be more aggressive, get to the paint, use your athleticism, or whether it be a catch and shooter to James Harden facilitating, whether it be lock in on defense, get skills or get steals. I just think that Paul George can have that impact to the Clippers team. I think he can do all of that in one game and drop 30 plus. Like why not? You know what I mean? It's just so frustrating to watch someone who has that Jokic level of talent not put it to use almost. So it would just be nice to see that tomorrow. It'd be nice to see Kawhi ball out. I would love to see 30 plus from Kawhi. I'd love to see Kawhi, tell James Harden, you know what? We've been on a losing streak. I know you're trying to fit in. Let me take over this game so we can break our losing streak and then we can get back to it on the next game or in 2 games from now. You know what I mean? We still have 75, 70 whatever games left.
Yeah.
James Harden can get his groove on in game 30. It's fine. Let's just get back on track now. We don't have to do things immediately. Let's just get some wins.
All right. You know what? Rolla? I like that energy. I like that energy from you.
Bro,
I
they need to
don't. I
send me to a
don't.
10-day, bro.
I don't like. I don't like the
Send me
Jokic
to a 10-day,
disrespect.
bro.
I don't like the
There's no
Jokic
disrespect. You think me comparing Jokic to Paul George is disrespect to Jokic?
I think you're using it as disrespect a little bit.
No, I'm not using it as disrespect.
And obviously, I'm a Paul George fan 1,000 times over before I'm a Jokic fan. But
no, I have respect for Jokic. I just don't think Jokic is head and shoulders better than Paul George. If Paul George is playing his heart out, you cannot tell me he's head and shoulders. Like we've seen him play his heart out in the playoffs. You're trying to tell me that Jokic is head and shoulders better than that Paul George? That took the Jazz to 6 games after Kawhi got injured?
it's just got to happen. I think that's that's
or
the
was it it
caveat
wasn't the
here.
Jazz?
That's the
Sorry, go
caveat
ahead.
here is I just need it. I just need to see it, right? Like from Paul George, and that's always been the theme is I I agree with you. Paul George is probably I think him and Vince Carter are these singular most, just in terms of pure basketball talent, the most talented people to ever come into the league. Kevin Durant's in that conversation as well, but just in terms of pure basketball talent, he's unmatched. But
Hmm.
you need to see it, and
Right, I
until
agree.
until he proves it, guys like Jokic are going to be given the edge.
Of
Um,
course.
all of this being said, I do want to end this.
Wait,
You had some positive, vibes
I just
for
want to
once,
correct
Rolla.
myself.
So
I was talking about the game against the Suns that he took to 6 games.
okay,
That was without Kawhi.
we're well past that. We're well
Yeah,
past
no,
that.
I just wanted to correct myself.
Yeah. You had to do a fact check.
Yeah.
Okay, no, but I agree. I agree that I think that you know there's a potential to see Paul when Paul George is locked in, right? Like there's very few people that can hang with him, including
No,
Jokic. So I think, and I did a shot take on it. I'm feeling it a little bit. So this is I'm
feeling
trying to
saucy.
string together. Yes, but yeah. So I think the Clippers have a very good chance to win this. It doesn't look like it, but it's certainly possible. And I think we need Kawhi, PG, and to a lesser extent James and Russ to chip in and make it happen, because we need to take these wins. We have the talent, particularly without Jamal Murray. We have the talent to get this done. The Nuggets are 8-2.
Hmm.
You know, excuse me. The Nuggets are 8-2. They aren't undefeated. We can beat them. We just need to go out there and do it, because if not now, when are we going to start stringing together some wins? So
True.
I'm resting on my take that the Clippers are going to get a win tomorrow, a comfortable win, um, and I just hope I'm right, because the Nuggets are the reigning champs for a reason. They play a really sound brand of basketball. They get contributions from everybody. A big part of that is Nikola Jokic getting guys involved and just being the focal point in their offensive attack. And so we just need to make sure that I think that we need to try and attack Jokic the best we can. Aaron Gordon's probably their best defender, but I guess a bonus of having four all-star level scorers or star level scorers on your team is they don't have four Aaron Gordons, so you just gotta whoever is being guarded by a smaller guy, or whoever
It's got to
is
eat.
being left open, you gotta hit your shots, and I think that we can do that. So here's to hopefully getting on the right track tomorrow. The game is at 7 o'clock on Tuesday. I believe it's at 7 o'clock on Tuesday in Denver, which is going to be tough, but it's something that we can do. Let's just try and get on the right track here, because we need it in the worst way. Any closing statements, Rula, or are we just gonna ride off into the sunset with the hopes that the Clippers are
No.
gonna get on the right track tomorrow?
Yeah, bro. I'm honestly, I just want to win. I just want one. I feel like that's not too much to ask. How many games do we
It
have
might
this
be.
week?
It might be.
How many games do we have this week? Two or three or two?
Let's take a
Either
look.
way, I just would like to next week or next Sunday when we film, and we might be filming from a different location. Stay tuned.
That's true.
Um,
That's true. I didn't even think about that. Rolla and I are going to be in Big Bear, so we're going to try and see if we can get a live from Big Bear Pod
yeah.
for you guys. We might actually be together for this, so
Hmm.
so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we do have the Nuggets tomorrow, and then we do have a Rockets team that's looked pretty good so far this season. They beat up on the Lakers. They've taken some pretty respectable wins this season against what should have been better opponents. So we're going to be covering the tomorrow's game as well as the Rockets game. Uh, Hopefully Sunday if things go well. If not, we'll try and get that out to you. Record it Monday, get it out to you on Tuesday. But Clippers,
Hopefully, we're discussing some wins.
if you can hear our message, please just try and get a win. It doesn't have to be pretty. Just try and get a win because we need
Paul
it.
George, if you're hearing me, please ball out tomorrow.
I agree.
He's gonna listen to this podcast before he goes on. So be the warm up pod.
Here's to good vibes. I think there's a lot to look forward to, but we gotta get into some good habits and try and start doing things the right way. So the sooner we do that, the better off we'll be. I think that's gonna be it for us here, Rolla, today.
Yep.
It's been a long podcast. It's been a long day. Been a long week. So here's to getting the win tomorrow. And setting things right. So without anything else, Rolla, I think that's going to be it for us here.
Cool.
You want to send us off?
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for listening. Again, you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Amazon Music, and YouTube. You can also find us on our Twitter at Clip Service Pod. Again, my name is Rolla, and this is Nick, and thank you guys for listening.
And go Clips!
Hope you enjoyed the rant, and go Clippers.
We'll talk to you guys next week.